Hi there VC, Steve Whitty here. Time for another video and it's the Vinyl Tag 2025. Yes, a little bit earlier than normal, but nothing wrong in that. I suppose get out the way. I'll have to think of something else to do on New Year's Day than answer questions. But it's put together by Pretty Green Vinyl Guy this year, so thank you for that. It's always a good little thread to just see different people's different answers, I suppose. I've only seen the one. I've seen John's 6-inch pianist. His video. So I wanted to keep my mind pretty clear about what I wanted to do. So let's start. 20 questions. So for question number 1, best purchase of 2024, new or old? That is Archive. You all look the same to me. This is a reissue that came out about a month ago. I'm going to discuss more about this album when I do my recent finds June to November part 4 video, because there's a story about this album. I'm really pleased to say I've got a copy on vinyl. Number 2, 50 years later, best album from 1974. That's no brainer for me. This is Sparks, Kimono, My House. It's in my top 3 albums of all time. So yeah, I'm happy to say that. Room to put all these records when I've done with them. Number 3, an album that defines a genre. So those of you who saw my video about 20 best British bands will know I showed 2 albums that defined a genre. I'm going to pick this one because I'm sure others will pick Black Sabbath, King Crimson in the Court of the Crimson King. This to me is prog. It has both elements of prog, opening up with 21st century schizoid man, the sort of edgy sort of prog, and then the Mellotron driven prog in the Court of the Crimson King, which closes the album. Just to me defines what prog's about. And if it was I was to say you just have one prog album, that would be it. Again from my best British bands video. So question 4, best band from your country. I've gone for Mott the Hoople. I've always said it. They defined what a group was. There's a bit of a gang. There was a gang mentality to the band. I think once that went, that sort of split up. So for me, Mott the Hoople. Question 5, an artist you miss dearly. Now, unless you're from Birmingham, or from the UK, you may not be aware of this guy. This is Misty's Big Adventure, and it's a compilation that my mate Pete put out on his label, who runs the record shop, called Misty's Big Adventure. He was a huge fan of the band, and pretty much the guy that ran the band was called Gareth Jones, or Grandmaster Gareth, sometimes he'd like to call himself. And we lost him a couple of years ago. His demons took over, and sadly he took his own life, and it was a big shock to everyone because we'd only seen him the night before playing a gig in Birmingham. It was such a shock. And I was fortunate to have met him a couple of times. He was such a nice guy. Always on looking out for the most peculiar of records. In fact, when Pete brought the collection for the shop, there was loads of really weird soundtracks. Was a big thing for him. I think we miss him dearly because we just loved seeing him. And they were such a great band. And sadly, I think the rest of the members are still, even at this time, are struggling to come to terms with it. Question 6, best live album in your collection. I'm going for Kiss Alive. There are some good live albums, but it's the one I usually go back to. There are obviously overdubs on it. You can never truly represent live album, though. In my last video, I did. Well, maybe the last but one video showed a Hungarian prog band where the album sounded great because the technology wasn't available for them to overdub, but this would be my go-to live album, my favourite. Number 7, your partner's just dumped you. What album are you putting on? I could put "This Son Has Got His Hat On," I don't know. I'll go for 10cc original soundtrack. I was sort of struggling for this one. Been a long time since I've been in a relationship, so the original soundtrack from 75. I could put this as my top album from 1975. It's got "I'm Not in Love," which probably is why I lent to it. Because it sounds, you know, when you first hear it, you think it's a bit of a soppy love song, but it's about a guy who's in denial. And I suppose when I've got dumped, there's always that denial stage that, well, she never liked me anyhow. And then it suddenly hits that she did, and you end up crying your eyes out to sleep. But there you go. Number 8, best sounding drums on an album. I picked this, Pete Gabriel, Free, Melt. I picked this primarily because I know something about this album when it comes to drums. Effectively, Peter Gabriel on this album didn't want any cymbals on this album. And so, try as you may, you will find it very difficult to hear the sound of a cymbal. Now, Phil Collins did a lot of the drums on the album. And I think those drummers out there will probably tell you that you naturally gravitate to a hi-hat or a cymbal when you're playing, and it's very difficult. Not difficult, but very disconcerting to find that you're under orders not to play it. So that's the answer to that question. Number 9, a favourite artist who is a member of 2 or more bands. And this comes straight to my head. I thought this might be difficult, but go Jeff Lynne. So there he is in the Idol race. In The Move. And obviously with the big success with ELO. Now, I could have added the Travelling Wilburys into that, but I haven't got that album. But there you go. Jeff Lynne. Number 10, Beatles or Stones. And I thought this would be actually quite obvious, but to me. But then when you start thinking about it, you think about the Beatles for a short amount of time, then you think of the Stones, the longevity. In fact, in the 70s, they made a slew of good albums. I think what turned it towards the Beatles for me is that I think the Stones went for a period where they didn't make such great records. And in a short space of time, the Beatles sort of innovated and sort of changed the face of music. Would we still be, if they'd have stayed together, would we still speaking as highly of them? I think it's the fact that they're gone and there's no way they're ever going to come back is that makes, I think, the Beatles stand out a bit more. Question 11. You found a bag of weed. What are you going to listen to? Now, here's a confession. I've never really smoked weed. I'm all right if I found a bag of weed, I could put some weed killer on it. And it's only the closest I never hung around in the circles. You either knew somebody that did it and then they offered you and you went with it, or you didn't. And I fell into the camp I didn't. However, I had a friend who went to Birmingham University. And he said, come round, we'll have a game of pool, a snooker in the hall, and there's like alternate disco on. And I have to say, I was pretty green around the gills, very naive about things, maybe a bit too sheltered for my own good. And it was a situation, we were sitting around, a group of their friends, and they were passing what I thought was a cigarette round, and then I took a partake, and I said, well, you poor students, I've got 20 cigarettes you could have, and my mate goes, no, that's bloody weed, that is. And I go, oh. And the music that was playing at that time was Killing Joke, 80s, because we all go off and dance like they were off our tits afterwards. So weed, it never quite reached my parlours, my court. Number 12, an album from 1980s you still listen to. That's an easy one. Best album of all, my favourite album of all time. You have to Apologise for the glare. AC/DC Back in Black. 13. An artist whose political stance has soured you. It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because we do live in a very sort of divisive world where you cancel somebody out that you don't really agree with. I like to think I'm a bit more mature than that, and I can, don't have to agree with somebody's views. But if the music's great, it's staying in the collection, and that artist would be Ted Nugent. As someone that adopts a plant-based diet, or you may call me a vegan, someone that goes around hunting may not go with it, and he's known for his right-wing views. I'm more centre-left. But the music's great. You can't. I couldn't. I'm not gonna cut my nose off to spite my face over somebody's differing opinion. I have to say, probably one of the funniest videos I saw on YouTube. I think he was being interviewed by Joe Rogan, and his son had gone vegan, and he was out struggling to say the word. Ted, bless him. But and I will say about his hunting. He's done that all his life, and I think he uses all the animal. Not like a lot of people who eat the meat and just pick on the best bits and the rest of it gets thrown away. That to me is pointless. Question 14. Show a favourite record label. And then I thought there's going to be the load of the obvious ones here, isn't there? There's going to be the, we'll have the Vertical Swirl, the Atlantic Plum, Charisma Pink. But I've got a bit of a soft spot for, let me show the Damned, the original Stiff label. I ain't got many albums by them. I ain't got many singles. There ain't that many around. But Stiff, to me, sort of changed it a bit in the 70s. In a sense, music had gone a little bit up its backside a bit, and they made it fun with the slogans. If it ain't stiff, it ain't worth a fuck. Things like that. I've always got a soft spot for that label. Question 15. A run of 3 great singles. Here we go. Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK. You then follow it with Move to A&M, God Save the Queen, This Is a Virgin. You follow it with Pretty Vacant. Well, that's 3. I'm going to give you number 4, Holidays in the Sun. I don't think any band, there are not many bands that could go with 4 great songs, not even the Beatles. I suppose you could say the Beatles and the Stones, but take those away. I don't think there's many bands that come up with 4 records, 4 singles like that. Question 16, a record store day purchase that you actually listen to. For those who know me, I do not partake in record store day. I don't see the point. However, having said that, I was in the Discovery a few years ago, and they were having a clear out, and one of them was a record store day from a few years back, and it's this one, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and this is live at the Pocotno International Raceway, USA, 8th of July 1972. Double album. I think it might have been 2019. This 2017 or 2019. This came out. And yeah, it's all right. It's the only record store day record I have in the collection. As I said, I don't go out my way. That's just personal to me. I know a lot of people out there love it, but queuing at 3 o'clock in the morning don't appeal to me now. Never appealed to me when I was younger either. It's not worth having. Anyhow, moving on to question 17. You can be reincarnated as any artist. I've said about the weed question that I was a bit naive, bit green round the ears, and that came to all sorts of things. So the person if you're going to be reincarnated, you don't want to be reincarnated as a version of yourself. So you want to be the total opposite. And there's one guy I could only think of that could be like that. Bon Scott. Leery tales of drink and women. Yeah, I could wear myself out in 30 odd years, I suppose, if reincarnated. It sounded like it'd be a bloke you could have fun with, you could be around with, and I would love to be that sort of person, but I'm not. That's why I would like to be reincarnated as one. Best 3 lines in a song. Now, I'm going to read the lines out first. Count the days into years. His 82 brings many fears. Yesterday's laughter turned to tears. Now, they may not sound very great. And you might not think the song I'm going to tell you is great, but it is a bit of a story. It's excerpt from a teenage opera by Keith West. I would have been about 2 when this came out. Radio 1 had just started, and so my mum had that on. And of course, if you know the song, the kids sing, there's a group of children that sing the chorus, the middle chorus and the end chorus. And in my brain, that triggered me off, and I sang along with it, with the song. The reason I chose that, it may not be the greatest 3 lines in a song, opening 3 lines in a song, but it opened it just opened me, like music, singing, all this around me stems really from the first 3 lines from that song. Question 19. Album you still listen to? Rush, Moving Pictures. It's one of my favourite albums. I still enjoy listening to it. I mean, there's a couple there now I could have said, but for something different, yeah, Moving Pictures. And then final question. Share your favourite VC channels. I'm going to stick to the people I know. James Griffiths, John 6-inch pianist, Headley, another fat bearded man talking about records. John Bellamy, Martin the Vinyl Scavenger. I'm sure I'm going to miss somebody out. But yeah, old Crackling Vinyl, Graham, and he's just put up his response to Vinyl Tag 2024. So watch that. Yeah, these guys, these guys are the closest guys I have in the VC. Steve Carlson's another one. Rob Paniques. They're the guys that always comment. Dale, oh God, I'm crackling through them all. Rob Ison. I'm going to have to stop there. Anyone that has the balls to put a camera on and talk about records, it's not easy. I find, it takes me out of my comfort zone a little bit. It's worth paying attention to. Anywho, that's that. I don't know what, as I said, I don't know what I'm going to do myself on New Year's Day. I'll probably have to go for a walk or something like that. But whatever gets up to, VC, take care of yourself. If you need to channel, discovered it because of Vinyl Tag, just click on like, comment and click on subscribe if you want to. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.